Homage to Buddha Shakyamuni, wisdom warrior Manjushri, and benevolent masters. Profound and subtle Dharma is rarely encountered in eons. Now we can hear and follow it. May we realize the Tathagata's meaning. To liberate all beings, please generate bodhicitta before today's teaching.
Next, we will thoroughly discuss the significant praise to the 21 Taras text. In the last class session today, we carefully covered one complete detailed session of the praise to the 21 Taras. Today, we will continue with the sacred important teaching again. In the praise to the 21 Taras, each individual verse carefully praises one specific Tara beautifully. These 21 Taras are, in essence, different unique manifestations of a single compassionate Mother Buddha. The essence is one Mother Buddha, but in appearance they are different forms of the Mother Buddha. Therefore, when we carefully study or thoroughly analyze this sacred text deeply, it is as if we are praising one single Mother Buddha, but from many different unique perspectives clearly. In reality, she skillfully manifests different beautiful forms before all sentient beings compassionately. Each individual Tara has a unique distinctive hand gesture, and their vibrant colors also differ somewhat. Most of them are basically pure white, bright green, or vibrant red. There are also some that are golden yellow, deep blue, or dark black. Generally speaking, there are also many sutras about Tara in the ancient Buddhist scriptures. A couple of days ago, I carefully looked through the complete Tibetan Tripitaka. Within the Tibetan Tripitaka, there are a large number of Tara practice methods. There are also practices related to the four main activities: pacifying, increasing, magnetizing, and subjugating. Many sacred terma, hidden treasures, in traditional Tibetan Buddhism also contain a remarkably great number of profound sacred Tara practices today. I personally think it is very necessary for everyone here in the near future, especially within the vast comprehensive Chinese Buddhist Tripitaka, and particularly in ancient Tang esoteric Buddhism. There are also many important valuable scriptures closely related to Tara specifically. These can also be called tantras or outer tantras. We talked about this a couple of days ago, right? Some scholars believe that Tara belongs to the Kriya Tantra. Some scholars believe she belongs to the Anuttara Yoga Tantra. So, in Tang esoteric Buddhism, both of these views are entirely acceptable. Therefore, please don't think that practicing Tara is solely a Tibetan Buddhist practice, as it has broader historical and spiritual significance. In fact, during the Tang Dynasty, Chinese Buddhism also saw the Tara practice being propagated to some extent in Han China. Today, we are going to talk about the fascinating history and cultural significance of this particular practice. In the past 2 days, we discussed paying homage with a peaceful body posture. Roughly speaking, we have divided it into 6 distinct sections, and I believe we are currently on the third one now. The third section should be about how the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas truly rely on and praise her. This means that Tara is not only truly worthy of reliance by all humans and devas, and also a powerful and compassionate figure, but also by very other beings in the 6 realms. And in this world, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who have already attained profound realization and enlightenment, also in their manifestations, rely on each other, praise each other, and show mutual respect. Such situations also exist. The verse goes like this: homage to the Mother who is revered atop the Buddha's crown, and who profoundly upholds the boundless, supreme conduct, who has truly attained all the perfections, and is closely and faithfully relied upon by all the Buddha's children. This particular sacred Tara is traditionally called the revered blessed Usnisa Tara, or alternatively the supremely powerful victorious Tara. Whether called Supreme Tara or Crown Tara, why is she referred to in this way? All the countless enlightened Tathagatas throughout the vast infinite universe always reverently regard this sacred blessed Tara as their own most supreme divine crown. They show her the utmost and profound respect, and thus this revered Buddha Mother is specifically called Crown Tara for all Buddhas, and of course the Tathagata, who occupies the highest and most exalted position. All the Tathagatas universally honor her as their crown, symbolizing their ultimate homage. This Tara, in fact, upholds boundless, truly supreme and immeasurable conduct. Supreme actually means completely surpassing all negative adverse conditions and harmful obstacles effortlessly. All external enemies, powerful demonic forces, as well as all worldly and transcendental obstacles, whether in samsara or nirvana, or in the worldly or transcendental realms, she conquers all obstacles and all adverse conditions without any exception whatsoever. All of this is accomplished through the diligent practice of such especially supreme and profound conduct. Moreover, she has attained from the perfection of generosity, the perfection of morality, and the perfection of patience. All the way up to the perfection of wisdom, there are 10 perfections, right? Just as described in the 10 Grounds Sutra, she has completely and perfectly accomplished all 10 perfections without exception. This shows that Tara has in fact already attained the fruition of Buddhahood. She is not merely an ordinary goddess, nor is she simply just an ordinary female bodhisattva. It is absolutely not like that. If one has already attained complete and utter mastery over all 10 perfections, then one should have reached the state of no more learning. Everyone should understand this. The 6 perfections, starting from the perfection of generosity, all the way to the final perfections of power, skillful means and aspiration, and ultimately the supreme and perfect wisdom of the Buddha, the enlightened one, mean that she has already attained mastery over all 10 kinds of perfections. It can be truly said that all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas arise through the profound and compassionate wisdom of Tara. That is why it is said, all the Buddha's children rely closely upon her. From the first ground, the joyful ground, all the way up to the 10th ground, all these noble bodhisattvas who have attained the various spiritual grounds will respectfully and wholeheartedly rely upon, praise, and diligently serve her. So we can also profoundly reflect on this ourselves, whether it is everyone present here in this assembly or any other devoted Buddhist practitioner. I think everyone should respectfully and sincerely pay homage to the Venerable Tara. We should regularly practice Tara's teachings. There is no need to distinguish between Tibetan Buddhism, Chinese Buddhism, or Theravada Buddhism. In fact, Buddhism itself, wherever there are truly virtuous sages, enlightened bodhisattvas, or fully awakened Buddhas, all of them are profoundly worthy of our utmost respect and sincere homage. Why is that the case? It is because their boundless merit, their extraordinary abilities, and their profound wisdom far surpass and transcend those of us who are merely ordinary beings. Therefore, considering this significant disparity, why should ordinary people engage in conflicts and fight among themselves? Between different schools, between different ethnicities, or even between one's own deeply ingrained tribes, people are always profoundly attached to their own individual egos. In this particular way, they will never truly regard it as a genuinely worthy object of profound respect. You might think that so-called Tara is merely an object of reliance for a relatively small number of Indian scholars, or just a practice upheld by eminent and respected Tibetan masters, and that the Tara practice for many of us who study the Pure Land school, or Chan school or other traditions, is unnecessary to learn. This is simply an incredibly ignorant and utterly unreasonable view to hold. We can also clearly see this truth from numerous detailed historical accounts. In fact, it is well documented that Tara's distinctive body color is a vibrant and striking orange-yellow. Because this Ushnisha Tara is like this. She holds in her hand, generally every Tara's right hand is in the gesture of supreme giving. The gesture of supreme giving refers to reaching out to those sentient beings who are suffering greatly in the world, using her outstretched hand to begin diligently preparing to rescue and ultimately save them. When we truly want to help others, people throughout the world often wisely say, lend a helping hand. There's also the saying, extend a hand of support, right? So the gesture of supreme giving is a symbol of liberating sentient beings. Or with this specific and sacred mudra, her left hand gracefully holds a beautifully adorned long life vase. Within this exquisite long life vase resides the potent nectar of immortality, a truly divine and sweet rain of Dharma that continuously and abundantly descends. It helps to wash away all kinds of suffering and greed in the mind stream of sentient beings. Especially things like poverty, misfortune, and so on. All of these can be dispelled one by one. In particular, all the obstacles that are the opposites of the 6 paramitas can be eliminated. This beautiful, vibrant orange Tara, compared to some of the previous sacred ones mentioned earlier, for example, In ancient Buddhist history worldwide, there have been many different revered Taras throughout time. Their divine body colors include green Tara, golden Tara, but like in the famous holy ancient Jogang temple in sacred Lhasa. There are also many ancient famous sacred Taras there, all beautifully covered in precious pure gold. In the traditional Han Chinese regions, actually, this particular revered blessed Tara during the flourishing and prosperous Tang dynasty, there were also many very blessed and revered Taras. For example, at the very beginning of the Tang dynasty, the powerful king Songtsen Gampo at that time thoughtfully sent a trusted minister named Ga Tongtsen. Ga Tongtsen carefully brought with him a magnificent Tara statue, which was meticulously crafted from an impressive 6 kilograms of pure gold. In Tibet, this is very famous, highly blessed, and extremely efficacious. He brought such a Tara statue and then headed to the Han region. At that historical time, the imperial capital city was in Chang'an, which is presently known as Xi'an. Back then, the esteemed emperor Taizong of the Tang dynasty and the powerful Tibetan king formed a strategic marriage alliance, graciously inviting the beloved princess Wencheng. They also respectfully requested whether it was indeed possible to acquire the most precious and most profoundly blessed, which was the 12-year-old statue of Shakyamuni Buddha, now known as the Jowo Buddha statue in Lhasa, but later, due to special circumstances at the time, in order to achieve various important goals, the great emperor Taizong of Tang agreed to this as well. At that time, the statue of the Buddha was allowed to be taken by Princess Wencheng. But when she was about to take it, he felt in his heart that if everything was taken away, the king would feel a bit empty inside. He thought it would be best not to part with its original base, the sacred lotus pedestal. The magnificent Buddha statue was already brought to Tibet. To this very day, it is still deeply enshrined in Tibet, as everyone widely knows and acknowledges. Every day, there is a constant stream of people coming to pay their respects. Later, the statue of Tara that the Tibetan king gave at that time, this sacred, precious Tara statue was carefully kept at Kayuan Temple during the ancient Tang dynasty. At first, it seems it was not properly enshrined at Kayuan Temple. Once, the emperor personally came to the temple. He saw that the statue of the Buddha had already been taken away and the lotus pedestal was empty. At that very moment, he was deeply thinking to himself, pondering, what kind of magnificent and appropriate statue should I carefully place on this prominent pedestal? While the king was still thoughtfully pondering this significant decision, the Tara statue herself miraculously spoke, clearly saying, "Your Majesty, you truly don't need to worry at all about placing another Buddha statue here. I can take Shakyamuni Buddha's place in guiding sentient beings. I can sit here on this pedestal." Later, the emperor gave special and significant permission, allowing the sacred Tara statue to be prominently placed there and worshipped continuously and without interruption. Later on, specifically around the year 1703 AD, the great Kangxi emperor personally visited Xi'an during his important official imperial inspection tour. When he came there, it was also specifically for the political sake of Tibet at that particular historical time, as well as to fulfill the wishes and the goals of some ministers. There, he specifically built a temple which was called Guangren Temple. It should have been in the year 1703, during that particular time, that Guangren Temple was constructed. The Tara statue, which originally came from Kayuan Temple, along with two other significant statues, one notably called the Great Radiant Heavenly Mother, all made of wood, and another called the Wooden Bun Heavenly Mother. All three statues were enshrined in Guangren Temple. Up to the present day, they remain the most precious cultural relics from the Tang dynasty. In other words, it is the only Tara sanctuary in Han Chinese regions. She is enshrined inside the Mahavira Hall. As we know, in general, in Chinese Buddhism, the main deity enshrined in the Grand Mahavira Hall is the revered Shakyamuni Buddha. However, here, due to very special historical reasons dating all the way back to the Tang dynasty, these three sacred, precious, ancient Tara statues were properly enshrined in the famous, historic, beautiful Guangren Temple, and it should have been much later on. It was also frequently visited by successive generations of highly revered Tibetan Buddhist spiritual leaders, such as the Venerable Panchen Lama and the esteemed Dalai Lama. Many great masters often came here together to spread the sacred Dharma teachings, including in 1952, when the Panchen Lama and the Dalai Lama at that specific historical time on their way to Beijing also stayed there, though it's still unclear for how long. It seems that some earlier books do indeed mention that they stayed here. At that time, among the well-known figures in Tibetan Buddhism, Geshe Sherab Gyatso also stayed there as well. At that time, he also taught the Dharma to the fourfold assembly of disciples in the Han region. It has already become and should be considered the most profoundly influential Tara practice site throughout all of history. So I think in Chinese Buddhism, the presence of Tara is certainly not absent either. It's just that quite unlike in Tibet, where almost every single household, or indeed every monastery, possesses a particularly significant and large number of Tara statues, there probably aren't any, but actually in the future, if fellow practitioners go to Xi'an in Shanxi province, I think it would also be quite worthwhile to pay respects and make offerings there. I've seen some photos before, though I haven't personally been there myself. But from the photos I saw, there weren't particularly many offerings placed in front. So it's truly necessary to go there in person. I saw there were many butter lamp holders, quite a few lamp holders, but whether there are actually lamps within those holders, I'm not entirely sure. There probably will be when the opportunity arises in the future, just like the Jowo Buddha statue in Lhasa, with so many people coming to pay homage. It's a pity that this Tara statue, which was originally the same age as the Jowo Buddha, you could say that at the time, it also came out of the imperial palace. But in the Han region, perhaps due to various historical reasons, and also because there are some differences in whether people believe in Buddhism or not, there are indeed some notable differences. Now, in many places within the Han region, including beliefs in Buddhism, Confucianism, and various other religions, are gradually fading away. For these reasons, nowadays, whether it's many college students or intellectuals, their many irresponsible behaviors and actions towards society are also becoming increasingly apparent and noticeable. This includes, for example, the various processed and manufactured foods that are produced in large quantities in factories nowadays, as well as all kinds of counterfeit and substandard products, and people not being truly filial or respectful to their own parents, and so on. These extremely cruel behaviors in various aspects. In all respects, it's truly evident that people have indeed lost their faith. Humanity is undeniably heading towards a state of utter madness in the end, or even into a primitive, beast-like group, which is truly terrifying to contemplate. Some time ago, I distinctly recall seeing the Buddha's parietal bone relic in Nanjing, as well as some sacred and historically significant Buddha tooth relics, which are carefully preserved in important cultural centers like Xi'an and Beijing. When these precious relics are ceremoniously taken abroad, for example, to devout Buddhist nations such as Thailand, or to culturally vibrant regions like Macau, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and various other countries and diverse regions, I have personally observed and noted with great interest how a considerable number of people there gather to respectfully pay their profound respects. Every single day, there are tens of thousands of devoted, faithful people visiting. So sometimes I truly think deeply indeed, genuine spiritual faith is an extremely important and profoundly significant, fundamental aspect for all people to possess in life. Back in the Tang dynasty, it was truly the case that from the emperor himself, all the way down to the common people, everyone across the entire country deeply believed in Buddhism. And the profound degree of their devotion to Buddhism was also quite remarkably evident. But for nearly 100 years, maybe not exactly 100, but many decades, during this turbulent historical period, people's hearts have changed so dramatically much, and this too is naturally understandable. Of course, we deeply feel that people especially need this spiritual guidance, especially when we often pray, whether it's toward Tara or Avalokiteshvara, the respect and joy we feel toward all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. This is also very important. Of course, the profound joy and unwavering faith you develop toward them should always come from a relatively correct and reliable source. Otherwise, if we possess a kind of blind faith, like today I see the Guru and think, you are so compassionate, so dignified. I see a Buddha or Bodhisattva appearing very dignified. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's genuine faith. Gendon Chömpel said sometimes he'd go into non-Buddhist shrines and he'd pray fervently, eyes tightly closed. After a while, tears flow from his eyes. So this shows that sometimes our faith as humans isn't always necessarily truly correct indeed. As long as you go to sometimes when I truly consider it, Gendon Chömpel was indeed exceptionally good at this particular skill. He insisted on putting his palms together and praying fervently in front of the deities of non-Buddhist traditions. After a while, he would move himself to tears. Then tears would stream down his face. But as for so-called non-Buddhists, I don't think that non-Buddhists don't feel anything at all either. It's not like that. Indeed, it is profoundly true that other religions also possess many truly unique blessings and spiritual energies. There are also some special spiritual responses. This is a fact that truly exists. Otherwise, throughout human history, with so many religions and so many sects, it truly wouldn't make logical sense to assert that all of them are entirely fake. Similarly, Buddhists also shouldn't think that only Buddhism is completely and absolutely correct and everything else is false. Such an attitude is absolutely unreasonable. Every religion in the world has its own way of doing good deeds. There are also various skillful means for benefiting sentient beings in many different ways. Therefore, in the Tantras, it is also explicitly stated that even towards the Vaibhashika non-Buddhists, one should not openly criticize, reject, or slander them in any manner. There are deeper meanings and reasons for this, so we hope that everyone can develop joy and faith towards these Mother Buddhas who possess extraordinary blessings and merits. It is truly and profoundly necessary, so I am thinking that all the Buddha's children, and indeed all the Buddhas themselves, pay homage to the revered Tara. We, as other Buddhists, have absolutely no valid reason to say, I practice Pure Land Buddhism exclusively, so I don't need to pay homage to Tara, because my practice is different, and therefore exempt from this universal reverence. Then perhaps this is simply an act of ignorance on your part. Even Avalokiteshvara and Manjushri, in appearance, should respectfully pay homage before Tara, because it is said here that all the Buddha's children do so, since all Buddha's children pay homage. Ordinary people have no reason not to learn or not to pay homage. Therefore, I hope everyone can approach this with a pure mind, and regularly, within your own personal capacity, diligently recite praises to the revered Tara yourself. Starting from this year, I especially hope that in the Han region, people will not only understand this on a literal level, it should be that in every Dharma center, every study group, and also in monasteries, everyone should be able to recite praises to Tara. Of course, when we recite these praises in Tibetan, it goes much faster. In the past 2 days, when we recited every day, we did it at the slowest pace. But you still couldn't keep up because there was really no way around it. According to the authentic Tara recitation in Tibetan Buddhism, especially since many of you may have never personally been to a traditional Gelugpa monastery before, in some ancient Gelugpa monasteries, many experienced senior lamas recite sacred prayers in this particular way, and in many historic Nyingma monasteries as well. They really do recite extremely fast. Right now we recite at the slowest pace every day. There's just no other way. It seems that the melody you all could also, I think tomorrow, the day after, or in the next class, let's see how the men and women do. You can try reciting it once in Chinese and see if there's anything good about it. Let the Academic Affairs Office take a look as well. I'll observe the circumstances and see if, in the future, there's a good melody that comes up. Because it seems that in the Han region before, there wasn't a special melody for reciting Tara's praises. See if you can create or compose some kind of tune. Because Tara herself is widely known for her very swift and immediate blessings, it simply can't be too slow. If it's too slow, then the blessings won't truly manifest as intended. So it can't be slow and dragging. When we pray, it's also relatively fast. Let's carefully see about the next scheduled class session together. I think it's probably tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and the day after that, right? Let's definitely start our important class the day after tomorrow morning. The day after tomorrow will be for the women, and the day after that for the men. Let's see if you come up with anything good. In the meantime, you can create something and I'll observe the circumstances and see how it goes. Today we're reciting in Tibetan. Just now we mentioned all the Buddha's children draw near and rely, which signifies the universal connection and dependence on the enlightened path. Next, the fourth point is about subduing the three realms, a fundamental concept in Buddhist philosophy that involves overcoming desires, forms, and formlessness. Because Tara subdues the beings of the three realms, she is praised for her ability to tame all sentient beings within them. Now in the verse it is stated like this: homage to the mother who utters the sound hum, whose voice pervades the desire, form, and formless realms, whose feet subdue the seven worlds, and who can summon all beings without exception. This means to say, the object of our profound homage is the mother who utters the sacred sound hum, The hum sound specifically refers to uttering the syllable hum, and chija also inherently includes the sound of tare. In fact, Mother of Chija is another name for the Wisdom Mother indeed. She is the divine red Kurukula wisdom mother deity. For example, the powerful sacred syllable hong represents great universal compassion and the pure enlightened bodhicitta. The sacred sound of chija actually signifies the profound wisdom of emptiness without any attachment. The harmonious, melodious sound that unites wisdom and compassion can actually spread everywhere throughout the entire world. Spread to where? It spreads throughout the desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realm. The realm of space refers to the formless realm, meaning within the three realms, the entirety of the three realms, encompassing all existence. The posture of Tara's body is quite significant. What exactly do her 2 feet subdue? They subdue the entirety of the 7 distinct types of worlds. Generally speaking, there is indeed such a well-known saying about these 7 types of worlds. The 6 realms, the 3 lower realms, and the 3 higher realms. The 6 realms plus the intermediate state, making a total of 7 worlds. There is also this way of explaining it. There are also the 3 of the desire realm, hell beings, hungry ghosts, and animals. Then humans and gods of the desire realm, plus the form realm and the formless realm. Actually, in this case, it's still essentially the 6 realms. But there are 2 ways to explain the world of vessels, so this is also acceptable. There are 5 worlds in the desire realm: hell beings, hungry ghosts, animals, humans, and gods. The heavenly realm is the gods of the desire realm, plus the form realm and the formless realm. All sentient beings in the total of 7 worlds. Through Tara's manifestation, her wisdom, and her compassion, she has already subdued everything within the entire world. There is not a single Tara who cannot subdue or overcome anything. Moreover, whether it is all the evil spirits and heretical paths in these worlds, or sentient beings in these worlds can be summoned. All phenomena can be completely subdued, all can be freely controlled and lovingly embraced. This particular Tara is generally known as the powerful deity Kurukula, and her radiant body is distinctly red in color. Moreover, she gracefully holds a finely crafted bow and a precisely aimed arrow above a beautifully blooming lotus. When we often diligently practice the profound Kurukula sadhana,
she is also one of the 9 most important principal sacred female deities within Tibetan Buddhism.
Something called rigma, I suppose. Rigma should be included among them. Kurukula also appears in some of the Terma teachings of His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche. There are her sacred traditional practice methods, her devotional praise verses, and some of her important ancient ceremonial rituals, including this powerful red deity Kurukula, when carefully visualizing her in this world. For those who are unable to uphold pure precepts, if you visualize Kurukula in your mind, then your attachment will naturally be eliminated and transformed into pure discipline. She can also subdue and embrace many sentient beings, both visible and invisible, in this world. Even our profound mastery of the intricate activity of magnetizing relies entirely on such a benevolent Kurukula. Now, many Dharma friends may be thinking that in this life, to accomplish mastery over magnetizing, one must propagate Dharma and benefit sentient beings. Many people have this aspiration to truly achieve the goal of spreading Dharma and benefiting others. Therefore, if we pray to such a Tara, in fact, within this brief human life, we will surely overcome all adverse conditions. At the same time, we will be able to gather and care for countless sentient beings with whom we have a connection. We also especially hope that starting from this year, through the blessings and power of the 9 deities, in the past we also made many Mahasiddha prayer flags. When you are creating and making these prayer flags, I sincerely hope that in the foreseeable future, it will be most advisable not to hang them directly on living trees. I've heard that on our sacred Dharma Protector mountain, many devoted people often hang them on the numerous trees there. According to some teachings, they should not be hung on trees. Because there are many ancient powerful tree spirits residing peacefully in the sacred trees, steep cliffs have protective earth spirits, and high mountains have guardian mountain deities. Some old trees also have tree spirits, so if you hang prayer flags on them, the tree spirits will have great difficulty moving around. There are such traditional restrictions. I've heard that some fellow practitioners often take prayer flags over there. It's best if you put them somewhere else yourself. I see that some people use electric wires or other methods below to set them up, which is better. I noticed that some fellow practitioners put the Mahasiddha prayers right in the exact place where I passed by. They use prayer flags to surround their entire yard. This is a very serious mistake. I sincerely hope you will move them to a more pure and truly clean place. Otherwise, perhaps you're just trying to block the wind or something along those lines. But this isn't really appropriate. This year, we also made many beautiful red prayer flags with the profound, great Mahasiddha prayer. They were hung up, including in my beloved hometown, where a great many were put up on the majestic mountains. I think that starting this auspicious year, through the powerful 9 deities and through the activity of Mahasiddha, we should embrace and benefit countless sentient beings. For those who do not believe in Buddhism, we must help them develop faith in Buddhism. For those who already believe, it's not just about having faith. They must also attain freedom and ease in both body and mind. Right now, some Buddhists are not at ease in body and mind. It seems like they are always unable to experience a certain feeling or sensation. They feel anxious and confused. This kind of situation exists. This actually means that our body and mind have not attained ease. It is one of the reasons why our activities have not been accomplished. If our activities were accomplished, then when we benefit sentient beings, we should be able to completely overcome our own afflictions. But some people think about their own troubles every day and never consider how to benefit sentient beings, only how to get through their own difficulties, how to endure. They keep encountering one obstacle after another. Actually, when everyone is preoccupied with their own matters, the more you dwell on them, the more obstacles you encounter. If you think less about your own issues, those obstacles gradually disappear. Therefore, this suffering is created by our own discriminating thoughts. Obstacles and hindrances are also created by our own discriminating thoughts. So whether we pray to Tara or adopt an approach of ease and accomplishment in our activities, therefore we should truly aspire and fervently pray to the revered Tara to graciously receive her divine blessings. If you read biographies of great masters and accomplished beings, you'll see Tara is an extremely responsive yidam. I often take for example Atisha. I'm not sure if I mentioned this a while ago, but if you look at the biography of Atisha, in several significant instances it was the revered Tara who graciously gave him profound prophecies. For example, first, when he was about to be ordained, he was actually on the verge of ascending the royal throne as a king. He was then a prince, the esteemed prince of Sahor, the beloved son of the great king Kalyanashri. He was truly a remarkable individual. No, wait, that was actually Shantideva. Atisha was from Bengal, which is now in the region of present-day Pakistan. Later, Tara gave him a significant and profound prophecy, clearly telling him to ordain, and so he subsequently went forth and became a truly devoted monk. So the first prophecy from Tara was regarding his ordination. He renounced the throne and became a monk. That was the first instance. The second time, while he was at the Vajra seat in India, he practiced many dharmas. Sometimes he would circumambulate, sometimes he would debate, and he engaged in many virtuous activities. But later, the image of Tara, including the one at the Mahabodhi Stupa at the Vajraseat in India, anyone who has made a pilgrimage to the Vajraseat in India will notice, there is a small, beautiful statue of Tara located there. Because when Atisha was circumambulating there at that particular time, she first used, for example, lovely women and various birds. I've talked about this story many times before, haven't I? There were also beggars, old women, and so on. They would speak to Atisha in a conversational manner. And on the ancient stone statue atop the sacred Mahabodhi Stupa, the head began to slowly turn outward, and then it began to give him a profound prophecy. It clearly said, if you truly and sincerely wish to progress from the initial cause to the ultimate result, from the state of a bodhisattva to the full realization of Buddhahood, you must cultivate bodhicitta. Again and again, the constant emanation of the divine Tara kept urging him forward. In the end, he fully understood the importance of bodhicitta. Then, after enduring countless hardships, he went to Master Serlingpa and studied under him for 12 years. Later, when bodhicitta truly arose in his mind stream, he returned to India. After that, on the third occasion, he asked Tara whether he should go to Tibet, and if he did, at that time he asked 3 questions. The first was whether it would benefit sentient beings. The second was because it was during the transitional period between the early and later dissemination of Buddhism in Tibet. The Tibetan king repeatedly invited Atisha many times. Every day, people were sent to invite him. At first, he did not agree, but later he asked Tara, "If I go, will I be able to fulfill the wishes of the Tibetan king?" The first question was whether he could benefit the sentient beings of Tibet in particular. The second was whether the Tibetan king's wishes could be fulfilled, and the third was about what would happen to my lifespan. Then Tara gave him prophecies one by one, saying, "If you go, you will benefit sentient beings. The sentient beings you will help are countless and boundless. It will be beneficial to them." As for the second question, the Tibetan king will be extremely delighted. Moreover, his only wish is to spread the Mahayana Dharma. He aims to truly make the later dissemination period a Buddhist land. This goal can also be achieved. However, the only issue is the last one. Your lifespan was originally supposed to be 92 years. If you go to Tibet to spread the Dharma, it will be reduced by 20 years to 72 years old. After that, in accordance with Tara's prophecy, Atisha gave up his long life and came to Tibet. When he eventually arrived in Tibet, Tara also prophesied, saying, "After you arrive in Tibet, you will also find great spiritual fulfillment. There will be an especially remarkable disciple named Dromtonpa. You must take him under your guidance." The night before Dromtonpa arrived, Tara also gave Atisha a significant prophecy, clearly stating, "Tomorrow, a devout layman named Dromtonpa will come to see you. You absolutely must accept him into your guidance." The next day, Atisha kept waiting, but by the afternoon he still hadn't come. He wondered in his heart, could Tara have deceived me this time? Why hasn't he come yet? He kept thinking this way to himself. Later, just then, someone invited Atisha to a meal offering to him. While attending the meal offering, he was still thinking about it. He thought, I might have a disciple coming, so I'll eat only half and leave the other half for him. But in the end, it seemed he didn't come, and Atisha returned very disappointed. On the way back, Dromtonpa was also asking around everywhere about Atisha, because they were destined to be connected through many lifetimes. Whenever they heard each other's names, they both felt immense joy and deep respect. Dromtonpa was asking around everywhere and eventually met him on the road. So the sacred divine prophecy of compassionate Tara is generally never wrong, nor does it ever deceive faithful people. Also, when the great master Atisha was living in Tibet, he made sacred tsatsas every single day. Making tsatsas was also closely related to Tara, because when he was at the renowned Nalanda monastery, he served as the disciplinarian, essentially the steward of the institution. When he was the steward, there was someone named Meijiba, known in Chinese as Master Maitreya. Master Maitreya was actually a truly remarkable and extraordinary bodhisattva. In order to make offerings to the Dharma protectors and the Dakinis, he began drinking alcohol in his own private room. As a result, Atisha discovered this. The steward found out. He immediately announced his expulsion among the monastic community. When the unexpected expulsion was officially announced, Master Maitreya did not simply leave through the conventional door. Instead, he calmly walked straight through the solid wall and effortlessly departed. After he left, Atisha very deeply regretted it. He asked Tara what to do, saying, "I expelled a great bodhisattva. This time, being the steward was a complete failure. I had inadvertently expelled a truly great bodhisattva. What then should I do?" Tara told him, "First, you should go to Tibet, because at that time, King Langdharma had systematically destroyed Buddhism in Tibet, and Buddhism was in a state of great decline. If you can successfully rekindle the light of the Dharma in such a remote place, there will be tremendous merit. This is your opportunity for repentance. Also, every day you must make small stupas called tsatsas. You have to make 49 of these tsatsas every single day. So throughout Atisha's long and dedicated lifetime, when he arrived in Tibet, as mentioned in the words of my perfect teacher, he would make more than 40 tsatsas out of clay every day. Other disciples asked him, "Venerable Atisha, should we do it for you?" He replied, "I am doing this to confess my own faults and to accumulate merit for myself. It's not as if you are the ones who are going to eat my food after all." So he refused to let others do it for him. This is also related to One significant reason is that when Venerable Atisha served as the esteemed steward, there was a particular reason he unfortunately offended the great Bodhisattva at that time. In order to profoundly repent for this, Mejiba was truly and remarkably exceptional. So when we as stewards dismiss someone, we must very clearly see whether they are indeed a genuine Bodhisattva. If they are a Bodhisattva, then special permission should be granted. Whether it's drinking alcohol or whatever they do, it's all acceptable. If they are not a bodhisattva, then we should simply and humbly follow the requirements and the discipline of the monastic community. I'm not entirely sure what I was just saying, but the essential and crucial point is to learn from Tara. Within the entire vast three realms, she is completely victorious and subdues all beings. It truly seems that in the biography of the revered Bodhisattva Shantideva, it is described in precisely the same way. At that time, Bodhisattva Shantideva was supposed to ascend to the throne as king the next day. Then, that night, according to the comprehensive perspective of the history of Indian Buddhism, it is also precisely described in this manner. That very night, he experienced a profound dream. It vividly seemed that the revered Tara began to gently bathe him with wonderfully warm water. While bathing, he said, "This water is so hot, it's very uncomfortable." Then Tara explicitly told him, she clearly stated, "This water at this very moment in time isn't particularly hot at all. In fact, it absolutely should not be considered especially hot by any reasonable standard. But starting tomorrow, if you really become king, once you become king, the negative karma you create will cause you to fall into hell in your next life. And at that time, the water will be even hotter than this. It's best if you don't become king. You should go to the northern city of Bangada, or somewhere, I forget the exact name. If you journey to that particular city and place your complete reliance upon the benevolent Manjushri Bodhisattva, you will indeed have the profound opportunity to attain spiritual accomplishment." The very next morning, he was quite unwilling to accept the royal enthronement. He decisively gave up his claim to the throne and subsequently went to a specific location to rely upon a revered spiritual teacher. It seems that in one version, Manjushri Bodhisattva gave him a prophecy saying, "You and I cannot sit on the same Dharma seat." There are two different historical accounts, I think. But in most cases, according to what is clearly described in the history of Indian Buddhism, the revered Tara gave a significant prophecy to the Bodhisattva Shantideva, explicitly telling him to go there and give up his royal throne. Therefore, all these truly great masters in the world have a profound karmic connection and origin with the revered Tara. We should also thoroughly understand these fundamental principles. Next, we will now discuss the fifth important point in detail. The fifth important point is praising the revered Tara through the respectful offerings and the veneration of worldly deities, a significant practice. Now let's discuss this verse. Homage to the revered mother, honored by the mighty Brahma, the fiery Agni, the swift Vayu, and the supreme Ishvara, the king of ghosts, the powerful corpse raiser, the keen scent seeker, and the entire assembly of yakshas all offer their profound praise. This particular Tara is reverently called the great and exceptionally powerful Tara, who is also widely and affectionately known as the Divine Mother, revered by all worldly beings, encompassing all sentient life across the vast realms of existence. This sacred, beautiful, compassionate Tara's divine radiant body color should always be bright ruby red color. She holds what appears to be a powerful golden Vajra peg firmly in her graceful right hand, completely surrounded by blazing transformative wisdom flames. She is, in essence, the peaceful Tara. But outwardly, in order to completely subdue all kinds of erroneous wrong views and pervasive misconceptions that exist throughout the world, she appears amidst the blazing intense fire. So what exactly does it truly mean to pay homage? It specifically refers to Indra and Brahma among the worldly gods in this context. There is also the fire god, the wind god, and peaceful here refers to the water god who, with others, offer their homage. Additionally, the king of ghosts, the risen corpses, as well as the scent seekers, yakshas, and rakshasas all pay their respects. This is how they praise and pay homage. Here, generally in some other contexts, for example, some very ancient sacred tantric scriptures explicitly state clearly that our entire physical world realm is always profoundly governed and meticulously ruled wisely by the extremely powerful 10 great worldly guardian Dharma protector lords. Among them, the most important powerful one, for instance, is Great Lord Indra, who is the mighty Indra of the east direction. Supreme Brahma is above. He protects all the celestial worlds above. The powerful fire god should be positioned in the southeast direction. The powerful wind god is located in the vast northwest, and in the western direction is the revered god of freedom, This god of freedom is actually the very same water god I just mentioned. The formidable king of ghosts resides in the chilling northeast, and the eerie risen corpses are found in the desolate southwest. According to the Abhidharma Kosha, the sense seeker refers to the intermediate state being, which is also called the sense seeker, but here it generally refers to the worldly lord of the south. In the north, there are the yakshas and so on. There may be a few more in the 10 directions, and some others have been omitted. The 10 directions should refer to the 4 cardinal directions, the 4 corners, and above and below, making a total of 10 directions. In fact, in the hearing liberation teachings, the worldly lords of the 10 directions are often mentioned. This means the east, south, west, and north. In the world, apart from the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, these include those in the heavenly realms, as well as in the human world. All the hungry ghosts and powerful ghost kings, all of these entities are extremely renowned and widely recognized throughout the world. It should be said that each revered deity possesses countless devoted followers of their own. These numerous adherents have all personally witnessed and can attest to all of Tara's profound merits. Her profound compassion and her immense wisdom are deeply revered and offered to with utmost devotion. They develop a great and profound sense of fear and awe towards her. They frequently and enthusiastically praise her various and admirable virtues. Therefore, whenever any kind of significant and widespread disaster occurs in the world, including all kinds of natural disasters involving earth, water, fire, and wind, they can be dispelled immediately through sacred Green Tara's divine compassionate intervention, and there are countless such miraculous inspiring stories throughout Buddhist history. This is true in India as well as in Tibet. Generally speaking, in Tibet, after praying to Tara, all sorts of worldly disasters, including those involving earth, water, fire, and wind, occur very frequently. I think I have mentioned this before. The Derje printing house is also a particularly miraculous example. The Derje printing house was built more than 270 years ago. At that historic time, ancient Derge had an extraordinary wise, benevolent king. It was carefully built by a powerful local king. Shortly after its magnificent completion, they made a humble, respectful request at that very time, because in order to protect all the Buddhist scriptures and texts inside, it had to be carefully guarded by strong, devoted men. Women were strictly not allowed to enter the sacred printing house at that traditional time. There was such a strict cultural rule established. Later, not long after, in this famous printing house, one fateful night, a woman's terrified voice was suddenly heard. She frantically shouted, "There's a raging fire! Everyone, please help put out this dangerous fire!" It was an incredibly loud, piercing, and desperate scream. When everyone looked around, they saw that there really were flames inside the printing house. Then everyone came up with ways to put out the fire, and they managed to extinguish it. After putting out the fire, they found it a bit strange. Some of you may have been to this printing house yourself. Its outer courtyard walls are exceptionally high and imposing. So normally, if the main gate isn't securely open, there's absolutely no feasible way to get inside the premises. After the fire was finally put out, they started to seriously wonder and question, where did this woman come from, and how did she discover the source of the fire inside? At that very moment, on the prominent corner of the wall, there was a captivating mural of the revered Tara. It's still there now. We specifically went to see it that day. This Tara actually manifested and spoke. She said clearly, "What you should truly guard against is dangerous, destructive fire, not innocent, devoted women practitioners. Ever since that pivotal, transformative moment, they haven't ever dared to prohibit it anymore completely. Now, both men and women can go inside freely together, and this manifested sacred Tara is said to be especially efficacious. They often talk about it reverently today." Last year, we held a Buddhist seminar. When we went inside to visit the place, I specifically brought one particular item in with me. Not the ancient mural, but a special sacred Tara image they have there. It's carefully made with fine paper produced locally, then skillfully drawn and scanned in a particular traditional way. I specifically brought one precious copy and placed it respectfully in the Buddha hall. I can show it to you when it's convenient. This is the magnificent mural. Actually, there are also many other murals like this one. In the past, at the revered Drepung Monastery in Tibet, on one particular occasion, while the diligent monks at Drepung Monastery were deeply engaged in their profound debates, a group of unexpected women suddenly appeared out of nowhere. These women were elegantly dressed in traditional Indian attire, a captivating group of truly beautiful women who stood there, observing with great interest as the monks continued their intellectual debate. As the monks debated one by one, those very same women were present among them, diligently beginning to nitpick and offer their critical comments. They kept saying, this one isn't debating well, that one isn't speaking well, always talking and laughing, constantly commenting. As they kept talking, the monks at the time couldn't stand it and had tolerated it for a long time. Later, those women kept picking faults with them. They'd say, this one doesn't have good debating skills, that one made a mistake, and so on. Eventually, a determined group of monks firmly stated, you absolutely cannot stay here any longer. They immediately and forcefully drove them away, and as they were being driven out, the entire group of them ran directly to the ancient wall and suddenly and completely disappeared from sight. After they disappeared, everyone was very frightened, wondering what had happened. Later, on that ancient weathered wall, some faint, ethereal images slowly began to mysteriously appear. When they carefully counted them, there were precisely and exactly 21 distinct figures. All 21 taras were prominently displayed right there, and later, through this impressive mural, people coming to worship could clearly see it, even from a considerable distance away. It is said that it was still there during the Cultural Revolution, but it's unclear whether it still exists now. Some monasteries in Lhasa were also seriously damaged at that time. Some monasteries were not damaged too badly, but some really were quite significantly affected. Perhaps people without strong faith or those who completely lack confidence in their beliefs think that this is impossible. Perhaps within their truly held, yet potentially mistaken views or beliefs, there exist quite many doubts. They think this is just a legend, a myth, and there are people who see it that way. But those who truly have faith, who truly understand these principles, are not deceived in the slightest, not even for a single moment. Indeed, the profound and immeasurable blessings of Tara and all the revered holy beings are truly beyond the comprehension and wildest imagination of ordinary people. So even if we personally don't feel anything ourselves, we absolutely cannot deny its undeniable reality. For example, whether it's in our dreams or during the day, there are many things, not to mention spiritual experiences, but even in our ordinary thoughts. There are many questions that are hard to explain. These things can happen from time to time in everyone's mind stream. So regarding these issues, we should also be very cautious and carefully use wisdom to discern and thoughtfully make our choices. Why is it that, whether we look at recorded history or consider the entire span of human civilization, there are so many truly fascinating and captivating stories contained within the pages of books? And furthermore, why is it that many great accomplished masters and highly skilled practitioners, despite their profound achievements, their actions may, on the surface, appear to be the same as those of ordinary people, but some of their abilities are indeed different? What is the reason for this? For example, if we look at many practitioners, on the surface they seem just like many other people, but some of them may have made offerings in their hearts, showing reverence or reliance, including to the Dharma protectors and some dakinis. So in this particular way, they inherently possess the power of an individual, and at the very same time, they also receive the valuable assistance of certain yidams and the Dharma protectors. My Pham Rinpoche also spoke about this in the treatise on the modes of being. If a person has the assistance of Dharma protectors and worldly deities, then their activities and inherent abilities become like a truly blazing, unstoppable fire, radiating immense power and influence. So sometimes on the surface, if an individual believes in absolutely nothing and consequently develops profoundly wrong and misguided views, they are ultimately only destroying themselves from within. Other than that, they genuinely cannot really harm or inflict damage upon anything or anyone else in a significant or lasting way. Back during the Cultural Revolution, people slandered and created negative karma in these ways. In the end, they themselves also. Indeed, sometimes a great many rather unfortunate and truly difficult things still happen. Truly, sometimes the karmic retribution can be quite frightening and profoundly impactful. There was someone from my very own hometown, indeed, back then, at that particular moment, because of some legal disputes between them. In Tibetan areas, there's a custom that people go to a particularly famous monastery and swear an oath never to commit the offense again. That person from my hometown came to the institute and swore not to commit the offense again. I also went to testify, and some other monks went to testify as well. But less than a year later, he started committing the offense again. After he did, everything he tried went particularly badly for him, indeed. Later it was said that he was sentenced to death. But whether that sentence was carried out or not, I heard it was probably very dangerous for him. So I'm saying, if someone clearly makes an oath in a monastery in front of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and then deliberately breaks it, sometimes even in this very life, there can be immediate retribution. No one can truly and completely stop that from happening. So in our spiritual practice, it is absolutely essential that everyone should diligently try their very best to keep their sacred vows firmly and steadfastly. They should not, under any circumstances, just treat them as a mere formality or a trivial matter. In actual fact, a person's profound faith and the solemn vows they sincerely make are profoundly and exceptionally important aspects of their spiritual journey and personal integrity. This might not be exactly directly related to today's important topic, but I discovered something quite remarkable today that I'd like to share with you as well. The year before last, during the devastating Yushu earthquake, I also went there personally. At that tragic time during the terrible earthquake, there was a young orphan, his beloved father, mother, and even his younger sister and all his family members had already died. We found this orphan and really didn't know what to do. Later on, I explicitly said that I would personally take him back and then bring him directly to the school. I asked one of my younger sisters to take care of him. It wasn't practically possible for me to raise him here properly, so I let her take good care of him instead. At that difficult time, the poor young child said he had an elderly, frail grandmother somewhere. Other than that, it seemed like he didn't have any other living relatives. When he came, he went there several times to check on things. He had a grandmother who was about 70 years old. We thought that he probably didn't have any other relatives left. However, it turned out that his mother's younger brother was deeply immersed in a spiritual retreat at that particular time. During this profound period of retreat, it was customary for them to undertake a solemn vow, committing to remain in seclusion for a precise duration of 3 years and 3 months. After he had been in retreat for a while, the earthquake happened. After the devastating earthquake happened, he also found out about it during his spiritual retreat. The next day, he learned that there was only an elderly mother left in his family. His younger sister, her husband, and their beloved child, all of them had tragically and unexpectedly passed away in the devastating earthquake, leaving behind a profound sense of loss. It's said that the child was also taken away by a Buddhist practitioner. However, he himself did not depart from the secluded retreat because he had solemnly made a sacred vow for a precise period of 3 years and 3 months. He had only just concluded his intensive retreat a mere month ago, and it is today, on this very occasion, that he has come to personally visit me. He said he wanted to look for his sister's child, to go and see that orphan child. He specifically wanted to see how we were raising the child, to check on his well-being and progress. I said, "You really are something, so steadfast in your vow. If it were me, for example, if an earthquake happened at that time, and my sister also died, leaving only an elderly mother, I might have left the retreat immediately, come out right away. I might have come out in less than a day, but they truly have a very firm vow. Actually, if we have such a truly firm and unwavering vow, many things in life will seem much less significant to us. Only when we truly regard the sacred vows we've solemnly made or the important precepts we've carefully taken as truly and profoundly important in our daily lives. But people in the world often do not adequately value these significant things as they genuinely should, and instead they tend to pay much more attention to other matters. This unfortunate situation also frequently happens. Therefore, as we diligently study the Dharma, one thing is, I've been thinking, whether we are in retreat or not, no matter what practice we do in retreat, we still need to have a firm vow. Mipham Rinpoche repeatedly emphasized this in his related teachings, that we must have a firm vow, even if it's about generating bodhicitta. Some of us, when we start to generate bodhicitta, are enthusiastic for the day too, but after a while, when they encounter even a little bit of adversity or obstacles, they say, "Oh, I can't do this, I want to quit, I'm leaving right away." In fact, this kind of behavior won't accomplish anything at all. It's the same with generating bodhicitta. Likewise, when studying the Dharma, benefiting sentient beings, or doing many things, why do the great masters of the past say that people need to be steady and reliable? It's because you must have a firm stance. This is especially important. So, when we are promoting the sacred Tara practice, everyone should also cultivate a profound sense of joy. Develop great and unwavering faith in the Holy Tara, especially within the vast Han region. I believe there are also a great many devout women who sincerely believe in Buddhism. I truly believe that Tara especially looks after and protects them. It seems that, in a way, Tara is a bit partial. So Dharma friends, women should pray even more. In this way, because generally speaking, women in this world often face more challenging and adverse conditions, experiencing a greater number of difficulties and trials. Furthermore, they may also carry heavier karmic obstacles, which can manifest as various hardships and suffering in their lives. This is indeed just as the Buddha stated in the sutras. We do not hold any form of prejudice or bias against women, but it is believed that if you engage in this particular and truly special way of praying, numerous challenging and adverse conditions can indeed be effectively dispelled, and in many instances they can even be completely and thoroughly eliminated. As for male practitioners, they too should earnestly pray to the revered Tara. Of course, there is also very swift and truly great blessing to be gained. I sincerely hope that everyone will deeply cherish this precious and invaluable opportunity. It seems that our allocated time for this session is now completely up. Therefore, we will conclude our discussion here for today.
Sonam Dei Tamsa Roganya Tonani Jana Pasi Jirgana Jirano Chupai Chupun Solen Droa Droa
Bandangara Badna Sodargye Bandangara Badna Sodargye Bandangara Badna Sodargye